So now the next thing to consider, we have the effect the attachment has on the individual's movement. But now it's the quality of the thing that does the attaching. As I say, the most common things are things like rope and chains of a shipping type nature. But elastic is also very common. The interesting thing about elastic is that it's usually, well, always actually, unbreakable. You very rarely have people say, yes, I have an attachment, something holds me back, and it's a really thin little elastic band. Things like bungee cords, really heavy bungee cords, or unbreakable elastic. And usually when that appears, it's around the person's middle or around their chest. Now, there's further consequences. Think about if you've got a tight bungee cord around your chest, you might have now Hertz metaphors of a suffocation nature. So the person finds it difficult to breathe, they feel suffocated, and so on. Around the middle, it might take a lot of guts to deal with this, and so on. But the quality of the thing itself does give us some insight into the nature of the attachment. For example, if I've got if it's a chain which has lots of pieces to it, there's lots of individual pieces to this attachment. And some of these things are going to be stronger than others. There's going to be a weak link in that chain. If it's a rope, there might just be the one rope, there might be multiple ropes. A classic one that I've seen is where a person has, say, 100 pieces of string. They're all very strong, but they're all very thin string, and they are attached in lots of different ways. They have lots of small attachments. Here, where we've got quite a strong rope, there might just be the one. That's one very strong attachment. Now, what some people might have, of course, is one heavy attachment, one very strong one that's not going to let go easily, and there might be multiple strings coming off and one that's elastic. So we have variations on the quality of the attachment itself. Because if you think about it, if it's elastic, I have some room to move. I can stretch myself. I can increase the distance between me and the thing, but it will always pull me back. With a rope, I'm limited to how far I can actually go, and there is no going beyond that. With elastic, I can go so far, and things are quite relaxed in the thing itself. When I go a certain distance, the tension begins, and I'm still able to move, and the tension will increase between me and the object of the attachment. Now, what's at the other end is quite important as well, because what I want to know is, how is that attached to the thing at the other end? Often it will be a clasp if it's in the ground. It could be in a stake. A stake in a field is quite a common one. They've got a strong stake in this situation that they're in. It could be a person. I've seen quite a lot of those, where the person will say something like, my wife holds me back, my children hold me back, my boss holds me back. So they picture it, literally the person is holding, and their attachment on themselves is involuntary, and the other person is the one who has the control. Basically, they've been turned into their pet. They've taken a position of being their dog, or as I like to say to them, you're their bitch. Just because I like to stir things up a little bit. So how is the other person attached to it? Are they going to be letting go? Probably not, because they would have done so by now if they were going to. And how is this attached to the person? Now, what I've shown you so far, of course, is how it can be tied around the person. For some people, they're wearing like a harness, and the things are looped through attachments on the harness. And the harness is now a garment, it's something they're wearing, which takes us into another taxonomy of metaphor. It could well be that it's actually a very loose thing that they're just having around them, and actually it's not secure to them at all. But it hasn't occurred to them they could let it go themselves. And the other one, again, it goes into another taxonomy. It's where this, rather than being around a limb or the person, it goes through. So what we have is a penetrating injury. There may well be hooks on the end of this that are hooked into the person. We're getting into quite brutal metaphoric imagery. Another person has got their hooks into them and holds them back. It could well be that it's like a clasp that goes through. So again, it's a penetrating metaphoric injury, which takes us, as I say, into the Hertz as a taxonomy. Now, of course, everything else might be equal, but what we have is a profound difference between this being around my wrist and this being through my wrist. And how we deal with those is significantly different. That's the stuff we go through on the workshop. There's lots of different permutations on this. So one of the things I want to really just make clear, because it's coming back to me now, then I've trained people in the metaphors work, and they're now going out into the world and working with victims, with their clients, or victims really, and they're doing things that I've never taught them to do. For example, you should break free from all your attachments. They've probably read these fake Buddhist quotes that go around on Facebook, these image memes that seem to go around. Once you lose all your attachments, then you'll be free and happy. Yeah, you might be, or you might be lonely and alcoholic. It just depends really what the attachments are. Now, because whilst I might feel the thing holds me back, that might not be what's happening. That might just be the story I've learned to tell in relation to the thing that I say holds me back. There might be other stuff going on. Now, what these practitioners are doing is they're telling people to cut the attachment. They make an imaginary pair of scissors in their metaphor that weren't there before. They've magicked up something and they now cut the attachment. That violates one of the principles of metaphors of movement, because what we don't do is change elements of the metaphor. We only ever change the organization of the person inside the metaphor. We don't change the metaphor. Otherwise, you might as well just say, stop thinking about it. Just ignore it. Just pretend it's not there. Just imagine it's a butterfly. It has the same effect. We leave the metaphor intact. We change the organization of the person rather than just create kinesthetic denial by going, let's cut the thing in our imagination. That might not do it. You might get an immediate kinesthetic relief, but they'll come back and tell you nothing has changed. This is how it works. So we don't change the metaphor, cut the attachment, because often the attachment exists for a reason. Not all attachments are negative. There's all this kind of new age thinking, this Buddhistic influenced theory that basically says we should cut all attachments, we should stop all these worries, the world is a wonderful place and the universe is friendly, and basically everything is fine. It isn't. And there's a lot of attachments we need, and a lot of these things hold us back for a reason. For example, here's a classic. Somebody said to me, I want to quit my day job and set myself up as an independent teacher. I thought that sounded quite reasonable. The guy was a teacher. So I want to quit my day job and set myself up as an independent teacher. I went, okay, so what's the problem? And he said, I'm being held back from taking the plunge. Now just think about that statement. I'm being held back, okay, we have an attachment, from taking the plunge. I'm not entirely sure plunges sound particularly appealing to me. When I pulled out the metaphor, I said, what's to the left? He said, it's the cliff. And what's to the right? He said, the cliff. What's in front? The drop. How big's the drop? Huge. And what's behind you? Well, it was his wife with a rope that's attached around his middle, holding him back. I said, I like the sound of your wife. She sounds like a very sensible lady. Now, I know that some people would not have investigated the metaphor and have seen that big drop. That drop, by the way, is a really big step. It's a step too far. It's a big letdown. It's him going over the edge. It's him dropping himself in it. It's him feeling the gravity of his situation. It will all come to a messy end. What I suggested was that he's being held back for a very good reason. That he needs to reconsider the steps that he's going to take and potentially find a better way of moving forward where this is done in better increments rather than one great big plunge. What I'm hearing, of course, as I've said before, is that other people are going, well, just cut the attachment. You need to think about what you're setting up for your clients. So this is attachments. There's a whole load more to this and how we actually work with these. Don't cut them, okay? I'm going to say that. Don't cut them. Be respectful of the metaphor. We change the organization of the person. This is stuff we do on levels 1 and 2 of the workshop. Details on the website, metaphorsofmovement.co.uk. If you've got any questions below for my next video, stick them in the comments section below. That's what I meant to say. And I will see you in the next video.